Kindness is often regarded as one of the highest virtues in both ancient scriptures and modern teachings. It is frequently said that we should be kind because everyone we encounter is facing struggles that we may not see. Yet, despite its noble intentions, kindness sometimes leads to unexpected consequences. Have you ever wondered why, despite acts of kindness, some people still respond with disrespect or take advantage of it? Why does kindness sometimes appear to be a weakness rather than a strength? This paradox is not a new concept, and even the Buddha himself faced ridicule and disrespect despite his boundless compassion. Zen teachings also highlight the importance of balancing kindness with wisdom. In Zen philosophy, kindness is not just about generosity. It must also be tempered by discernment. The question arises, how can we practice true kindness that fosters respect rather than exploitation? The teachings we explore today offer insights into this complex dynamic, guiding us to understand how kindness, when balanced with wisdom, becomes a source of true strength. The Zen story of kindness and boundaries. The disciple, known for his deep compassion, had always believed that kindness was the path to spiritual enlightenment. Every day, he devoted himself to helping others, carrying the burdens of fellow disciples, offering his food to the hungry, and never refusing any request, no matter how unreasonable. His selfless acts earned him admiration and praise from everyone around him, making him feel fulfilled and connected to the teachings he cherished. His actions seemed to perfectly embody the essence of compassion, and for a while, he basked in the positive responses from those around him. Yet, over time, something unexpected began to happen. The same people who had once respected him began to take advantage of his generosity. They left their tasks unfinished, knowing he would step in to complete them, and spoke to him harshly, confident that he would never retaliate. This exploitation left the disciple feeling confused and disheartened. He had always been willing to help, but now, it seemed that his kindness was being misunderstood and misused. He began to wonder where he had gone wrong. Were his efforts truly in line with the teachings of compassion? One evening, feeling a heavy weight of frustration, the disciple approached his master, seeking guidance. "Master," he asked, "why does my kindness bring me disrespect? Am I not following the teachings of compassion?" The master, wise and composed, smiled gently and began to share a story, the tale of the river and the forest. This teaching struck the disciple deeply, urging him to reflect on the need for balance between compassion and discernment. The master emphasized that true kindness must be rooted in awareness and wisdom. It must know when to give and when to withhold, not out of selfishness, but out of a desire for harmony and balance in all relationships. The master's teaching on the river and the forest. The master listened carefully as the disciple shared his struggles with boundless kindness. "Master," he said, "I try to help everyone, offering my time, my energy, and my care without hesitation. But lately, it feels as though my kindness is being taken for granted. People expect more from me, and even worse, they treat me with disrespect. What am I doing wrong?" The master nodded thoughtfully and replied, "Let me tell you a story about the river and the forest." He continued, "There was a river that flowed gently through a dense forest. The river was generous, offering its waters to all who came. Animals drank from it, trees grew tall along its banks, and travelers rested beside it. It never turned anyone away. Its water flowed endlessly, sustaining all life around it." The disciple listened intently, his heart open to the master's wisdom. "Over time," the master said, "the creatures of the forest began to take the river's generosity for granted. The animals muddied the waters with no concern for the river's well-being. The trees extended their roots deep into the river, drinking more than they needed. The travelers, rather than simply resting, began to pollute the river with their waste. The river's once clear waters began to dwindle, becoming murky and tainted. Despite all the river had given, it was slowly being depleted." The master paused, letting the weight of the story settle. The river, in its kindness, had no boundaries. It gave without discerning when it had enough to give. It did not understand the importance of self-preservation. The river had forgotten the lesson that kindness, though virtuous, must be balanced with wisdom. Without boundaries, kindness becomes an invitation for exploitation. The disciple looked up at his master, now deeply moved. "But, master, what should the river have done?" The disciple nodded, his mind filled with understanding. The master's teachings now made sense to him, and he knew that, like the river, his own kindness must be rooted in awareness and wisdom, with clear boundaries to preserve both his spirit and his generosity. The master's story was not just an illustration of kindness. It was a lesson on the need for balance in all aspects of life, showing the disciple that true compassion is not about endless self-sacrifice, but rather a deep understanding of when to give and when to protect oneself. The role of self-respect and discernment in kindness. The master explained to the disciple that true kindness is rooted in self-respect and discernment, not in a desire for approval from others. He emphasized that kindness must come from strength and not be driven by the need to seek validation or to please those around us. In the disciple's case, his initial acts of generosity had been motivated by a deep sense of compassion, but his selflessness had led him to overlook his own needs. The master pointed out that this kind of kindness, without the strength of boundaries, could lead to burnout and exploitation. Kindness, the master said, must be rooted in awareness. It is not about losing yourself in the service of others, but about knowing when to give and when to hold back. When kindness is given from a place of strength, it helps both the giver and the receiver. However, when it comes from a place of seeking approval, it may actually be enabling others to take advantage of the giver. The master's advice was simple yet profound. True kindness must always be balanced by mindfulness. Without mindfulness, even the best intentions can lead to negative outcomes. The importance of self-respect in giving kindness was also a key lesson the master imparted. Kindness that diminishes one's own spirit is not sustainable, and over time, it leads to feelings of resentment and exhaustion. True kindness should come from a place where the giver respects their own needs and well-being, just as much as they care for the needs of others. As he prepared for his next challenge, the disciple understood that true kindness would always involve discernment and self-awareness. This transformation marked a crucial step in his journey, helping him refine his understanding of compassion and strengthening his ability to engage with the world in a way that honored both his own spirit and the needs of others. The next steps in his journey would be shaped by this newfound wisdom, practical application, setting boundaries and fostering mutual respect. The disciple, having gained a deeper understanding of his role in practicing kindness, was now faced with a real challenge: learning to set boundaries. For a long time, his generosity was boundless, and he had offered his help to anyone who asked, without considering the consequences for himself. However, as he practiced mindfulness and self-awareness, he began to realize that his actions, though well-intended, were not always empowering him or those around him. People began to take advantage of his kindness, leaving their tasks unfinished, and often speaking harshly to him, knowing he would not retaliate. It became clear that his kindness, without limits, was fostering dependence rather than mutual growth. The master went on to explain the importance of setting boundaries. You must learn to say no when demands are unreasonable, not out of selfishness, but out of a desire for balance. True kindness requires discernment. It is not about being a servant to others, but about respecting both your own needs and the needs of those around you. Over time, the disciple began to apply these teachings in his daily life. By setting clear boundaries and learning to say no when necessary, he started to feel empowered. Rather than being seen as a mere giver, people began to respect him as an equal. This shift marked a profound transformation. His kindness was no longer a form of self-sacrifice, but a conscious, balanced act of compassion. Through this process, the disciple realized that boundaries were not barriers to love and compassion, but essential expressions of respect, both for himself and for others. This realization aligned with the Zen teachings of balance, showing that true kindness must be guided by both wisdom and self-respect. The disciple's journey was now one of mutual growth, where both his actions and his understanding of kindness were rooted in balance and mindfulness. Conclusion: the true power of kindness and balance. The teachings of Zen have illuminated the path of true kindness, one that is rooted in balance, wisdom, and self-respect. Through the disciple's journey, we learn that kindness must come from a place of strength, not from a need for approval. By setting healthy boundaries, the disciple discovered that kindness is not about self-sacrifice, but about maintaining balance. This journey revealed that when we give too much without discerning where our energy goes, we can unintentionally create dependence rather than fostering mutual growth. The key to true kindness lies in self-awareness. When we respect ourselves and practice mindfulness, we can offer kindness that empowers both ourselves and others. This balance, between giving and receiving, is essential for sustaining compassion without feeling depleted. The lesson here is clear. Kindness should be an act of strength, guided by wisdom, not a hollow attempt to please others. As we reflect on these teachings, let us integrate them into our daily lives. By maintaining balance, setting boundaries, and practicing self-respect, we can cultivate true kindness. A kindness that strengthens not only others but ourselves as well. Let this be a reminder that our actions, driven by awareness and wisdom, are the true sources of growth and harmony.